In the hidden temples of ancient India, there existed a secret science, a technology so powerful, so transformative that it was kept locked away from the masses, passed only from master to disciple, whispered in Sanskrit behind closed doors, practiced in darkness by those brave enough to walk the razor's edge between spiritual liberation and physical destruction. This science had a name, Tantra, and Western civilization has completely misunderstood it. When most people hear Tantra, they think of exotic sex positions or weekend workshops for bored couples. They think it's about having better orgasms or lasting longer in bed. This is like thinking nuclear physics is about making better light bulbs. You're not even wrong. You're missing the entire dimension of what's actually happening. Real Tantra, the kind practiced by yogis who could stop their heartbeat at will, who could generate internal heat to survive Himalayan winters naked, who could achieve states of consciousness that dissolved the boundary between self and universe. This Tantra was about one thing, transmuting sexual energy into spiritual power. The word Tantra comes from two Sanskrit roots, Tanoti, meaning to expand, and Trayati, meaning to liberate. Tantra is the practice that expands consciousness and liberates you from limitation. And the fuel for this expansion, your sexual essence, your most potent, most concentrated form of life force. Today, we're going deep into the actual practices, not the watered-down Western version, not the commercialized workshop nonsense, the real techniques that yogis used to transform sexual energy into superhuman abilities and enlightened consciousness. This is what they didn't want you to know. Before we dive into specific practices, you need to understand the Tantric worldview, because without this framework, the techniques will seem bizarre or pointless. In Tantric philosophy, the entire universe is created from the interplay of two fundamental forces, Shiva and Shakti. Shiva represents pure consciousness, stillness, awareness itself. Shakti represents pure energy, movement, creative power. Everything that exists is the dance between these two principles. In the human body, Shiva resides at the crown of the head, pure awareness. Shakti resides at the base of the spine, coiled like a sleeping serpent. This is Kundalini Shakti, the cosmic creative energy in its most concentrated form within you. The goal of Tantric practice is to awaken Shakti and unite her with Shiva. When they merge, you experience samadhi, enlightenment, the dissolution of all separation between self and cosmos. Now here's the critical part that connects to sexual energy. Kundalini Shakti and sexual energy are the same energy, not similar, the same. Sexual energy is simply Kundalini in its grossest, most physical form. When you're aroused, when you feel sexual desire, that's Kundalini stirring. When you ejaculate, you're expelling Kundalini energy downward and outward, wasting the very force that could liberate you. The Tantric texts are explicit about this. The Hatha Yoga Pradipika states, semen is the real vitality in men. It is the hidden treasure in man. As long as the semen is safe in the body, there is no fear of death. The Shiva Samhita teaches, the yogi who can protect his semen overcomes death. So the first principle of Tantric sexual energy work is simple. Conserve the seed. But conservation alone isn't enough. You must learn to redirect it, refine it, and ultimately use it as rocket fuel for consciousness expansion. The Tantrics identified three main channels of energy in the body: Ida, the lunar channel, running along the left side of the spine, cooling and feminine; Pingala, the solar channel, running along the right side, heating and masculine; and Sushumna, the central channel, running directly up the spine from the base to the crown. In most people, Sushumna is dormant, blocked. Energy flows only through Ida and Pingala, creating the ordinary consciousness of duality, separation, limitation. But when you practice tantric techniques correctly, Sushumna awakens. Kundalini rises through this central channel, piercing and activating each chakra as it ascends, until finally it merges with Shiva at the crown. This is enlightenment. Sexual energy is the key that unlocks Sushumna, but only when it's conserved, controlled, and consciously directed. Waste it through unconscious ejaculation, and you remain locked in ordinary consciousness. Master it, and you gain access to extraordinary states. The tantric approach differs from pure celibacy in crucial ways. The celibate monk tries to suppress sexual energy entirely to pretend it doesn't exist. The tantric practitioner embraces sexual energy, works with it directly, uses its power consciously. This is why Tantra is called the left-hand path. It uses the very forces that others flee from. But make no mistake, this path is dangerous. The texts warn repeatedly that improper practice can lead to madness, illness, or death. Sexual energy is powerful. Kundalini awakening without proper preparation can shatter an unprepared nervous system. This is not a game. This is advanced spiritual technology that demands respect, discipline, and often a qualified teacher. With that understanding in place, let's explore the specific practices. The foundation of all tantric sexual energy work is pranayama, breath control. The ancient yogis discovered that breath, energy, and mind are intimately connected. Control the breath, and you control the energy. Control the energy, and you control the mind. The most fundamental pranayama for sexual energy conservation is called Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. This practice balances Ida and Pingala, the lunar and solar channels, creating the conditions for Sushumna to activate. The technique is simple but powerful. Sit in a comfortable meditation posture, spine straight. Close your right nostril with your right thumb. Inhale slowly through the left nostril for a count of 4. At the top of the inhalation, close both nostrils. Hold the breath for a count of 16. Release the right nostril and exhale through it for a count of 8. Now inhale through the right nostril for 4 counts. Hold for 16. Exhale through the left for 8. This is 1 round. The ratio is crucial: 1 to 4 to 2. 1 count for inhalation, 4 counts for retention, 2 counts for exhalation. This specific ratio creates a particular energetic effect. The extended retention builds pressure that forces prana, life force, into Sushumna. Practice this for 10 to 20 rounds daily. Over time, increase the count. Eventually, some practitioners reach ratios of 20 to 80 to 40, or even longer. The retention phase is where the magic happens. During retention, visualize energy moving from the base of your spine upward through the central channel. The second foundational practice is Mula Bandha, the root lock. This is absolutely essential for sexual energy conservation. Mula Bandha involves contracting the muscles of the pelvic floor, specifically the perineum, the area between the genitals and anus. The technique: sit in meditation posture. Inhale deeply. As you exhale, contract the perineal muscles, pulling them upward and inward. Hold the contraction. Feel as if you're preventing urination and defecation simultaneously. The contraction should be firm but not strained. Hold for as long as comfortable, then release slowly. Why is this important? The Tantric texts teach that there's an energetic gate at the base of the spine called the Brahma Granthi, the knot of Brahma. This gate normally allows energy to flow downward and outward, leading to ejaculation. Mula bandha closes this gate, forcing energy to flow upward instead. Practiced regularly, Mula bandha develops conscious control over the subtle muscles involved in ejaculation. This is the physical foundation for the more advanced practice of non-ejaculatory orgasm. Many tantric practitioners can engage Mula bandha during sexual arousal to prevent ejaculation while still experiencing intense pleasure. Combine Mula bandha with Pranayama for exponential effect. Inhale deeply, retain the breath, engage Mula bandha, and visualize sexual energy being pumped upward through Sushumna toward the brain. This is the basic tantric technique for sublimation. The third foundational practice is Uddiyana bandha, the abdominal lock. After fully exhaling, pull the abdominal muscles inward and upward, creating a concave depression in the belly. This creates a powerful vacuum effect that pulls energy upward through the torso. The combination of all three bandhas, Mula bandha at the root, Uddiyana bandha at the navel, and Jalandhara bandha at the throat, creates Maha bandha, the great lock. This practice creates an internal pressure chamber that forces Kundalini upward through the chakras. Practice Maha bandha carefully and progressively. Start with just a few seconds. Build up over months. The sensation can be intense, heat, pressure, electrical tingling along the spine. These are signs that energy is moving. If the sensations become overwhelming, release the locks. Breathe normally and allow the energy to settle. Daily practice of these three foundational techniques, Nadi Shodhana, Pranayama, Mula bandha, and Uddiyana bandha, will begin to redirect your sexual energy upward. You'll notice changes within weeks, increased mental clarity, stable, elevated mood, a sense of energy accumulating in your core. These are signs you're on the right path. Once you've established the foundational practices, you can begin more advanced techniques for circulating and refining sexual energy. The primary advanced practice is the Microcosmic Orbit, though this term comes from Taoism. The Tantric equivalent involves circulating prana through Ida and Pingala in a specific pattern that eventually awakens Sushumna. Sit in meditation. Bring your awareness to the base of your spine, the Muladhara chakra. Visualize a sphere of red, vibrant energy there. This is your sexual energy, your Kundalini in potential form. As you inhale, visualize this energy beginning to glow brighter, to activate. Now, engage Mula bandha. Feel the energy being prevented from flowing downward. Instead, with each inhale, visualize it rising up the spine. See it moving through each chakra, from Muladhara at the base, glowing red, to Svadhisthana at the sacrum, glowing orange, to Manipura at the solar plexus, glowing yellow, to Anahata at the heart, glowing green, to Vishuddha at the throat, glowing blue, to Ajna at the third eye, glowing indigo, finally to Sahasrara at the crown, glowing violet or white. As you exhale, visualize the energy descending down the front of your body, from the crown to the third eye, to the throat, to the heart, to the solar plexus, to the sacrum, and back to the base. This completes one orbit. Continue this circulation for 20 to 30 minutes. With practice, the visualization becomes less necessary. You'll actually feel the energy moving, a warm, tingling, electric sensation that travels the route you've mapped. This is real. This isn't imagination. You're moving actual bioelectric energy through your nervous system. The advanced practitioner combines this circulation with specific breathing ratios. Inhale for a count of 20 as energy rises up the back. Retain for a count of 80 at the crown. Exhale for a count of 40 as energy descends the front. This creates a powerful pumping action. Some practitioners add mantra to this practice. The bija mantras, seed sounds associated with each chakra. As energy passes through each chakra, mentally or vocally, sound its mantra. Lam for Muladhara, Vam for Svadhisthana, Ram for Manipura, Yam for Anahata, Ham for Vishuddha, Om for Ajna, silence, or Aum for Sahasrara. The vibration of these sounds activates the chakras more powerfully. Another advanced practice is called Sahajoli Mudra in women and Vajroli Mudra in men. This involves learning to draw fluids upward through the urethra. Yes, you read that correctly. Advanced tantric practitioners could actually reverse the flow of ejaculation, drawing semen back into the body through the urethra. The training for this is gradual and requires dedication. It begins with learning to urinate in pulses, starting and stopping the stream at will. This develops control over the urethral sphincter. Next, practice drawing water upward through a catheter while sitting in a bath. Eventually, some practitioners achieve the ability to draw semen back after ejaculation has begun. Why would anyone do this? Because it represents ultimate control over sexual energy, the ability to experience the pleasure of orgasm while retaining the essence. The texts claim that semen drawn back upward is reabsorbed and nourishes the brain and nervous system. I need to be clear, this practice is advanced, potentially dangerous if done incorrectly, and probably requires a teacher. I'm sharing it for completeness, not as an instruction to go try it, but it illustrates the level of mastery that dedicated tantric practitioners achieved. A safer advanced practice is what's called the inner fire or Tummo in Tibetan Buddhism. This involves using visualization and breath to generate intense internal heat in the lower abdomen, then directing that heat upward through the central channel. Sit in meditation. Visualize a small flame about the size of a finger in your lower abdomen, just below the navel. With each inhale, visualize oxygen feeding this flame, making it glow brighter. With each exhale, visualize the heat from this flame spreading upward, melting blockages in your central channel. Continue this for 30 minutes or more. If practiced correctly, you'll begin to actually feel heat building in your lower abdomen. This isn't just imagination. Practitioners of Tummo have been measured generating enough body heat to dry wet sheets wrapped around them in freezing temperatures. This is real, measurable thermogenesis triggered by yogic practice. The heat generated through Tummo is sexual energy in its transformed state. You're literally burning sexual essence as fuel for internal energy generation. This heat then rises naturally through Sushumna, activating each chakra as it ascends. Now we need to address the elephant in the room, sexual tantra with a partner. This is where most Western interest focuses, and also where the most confusion exists. First, understand that partner practices are considered advanced tantra. The texts recommend years of solo practice first. Why? Because sex with another person introduces variables you can't control, their energy, their consciousness, their desires. Until you've mastered control of your own energy alone, you'll be overwhelmed by the intensity of merging energies with another. That said, the practices exist and are powerful when done correctly. The foundation of tantric sexuality is complete presence. No fantasy, no thinking about other partners, no imagining scenarios, just pure presence with the actual sensations, the actual person, the actual moment. This alone transforms sex from a mechanical release into a meditative practice. The second principle is extended arousal without ejaculation. In tantric intercourse, the goal isn't orgasm. The goal is to maintain high arousal for extended periods, 30 minutes, an hour, even several hours. This builds and circulates tremendous amounts of energy between partners. The technique begins with extended foreplay, focusing on every sensation. When arousal builds toward the point of no return, stop all movement. Both partners engage Mula bandha. Breathe slowly and deeply. Visualize energy rising from the genitals up the spine to the crown. Wait for arousal to decrease slightly, then resume. This cycle repeats many times. Arousal builds, pause, energy rises. Arousal builds, pause, energy rises. Each cycle takes you higher. The energy becomes palpable. Some couples report seeing colors, feeling electrical currents, experiencing states of expanded consciousness. The male's role in tantric intercourse is specifically to avoid ejaculation. The texts are clear. The man who can maintain arousal for extended periods without ejaculation while giving his partner multiple orgasms is practicing true tantra. His retained semen becomes a catalyst for both partners' spiritual evolution. For the woman, the teachings are different. Female ejaculation or orgasm doesn't deplete vital essence the way male ejaculation does. Women can experience multiple orgasms and actually generate more energy. So in tantric intercourse, the woman's orgasmic energy is shared with and absorbed by the male partner. There's a practice called Karezza, which is tantric intercourse without orgasm for either partner. The couple remains in union, moving slowly or not at all for extended periods. They breathe together, synchronizing their breath. They visualize energy flowing in a circuit between them, up his spine, across at the crowns, down her spine, across at the genitals, back up his spine. This creates what practitioners describe as an energy orgasm or valley orgasm. It's not the peaked, explosive orgasm of conventional sex. It's a sustained, full-body state of bliss that can last for the entire duration of the practice. Some couples report that one session of Karezza creates more satisfaction and bonding than months of conventional sex. The key physiological technique for men is mastering the point of no return. Through practice, you learn to recognize the exact moment before ejaculation becomes inevitable. This is called the threshold. Advanced practitioners can ride this threshold for hours, experiencing wave after wave of intense pleasure without crossing over into ejaculation. How do you develop this skill? Solo practice first. During self-stimulation, bring yourself to high arousal, then stop completely. Breathe deeply. Engage Mula bandha strongly. Wait until arousal subsides by 20 to 30%. Resume. Repeat this cycle 20 or 30 times per session. Over weeks and months, you develop precise control and awareness of your arousal cycle. Some tantric texts describe a practice where the male, at the moment just before ejaculation, presses firmly on the perineum while contracting Mula bandha. This physically blocks the urethra, preventing ejaculation while allowing orgasmic contractions. The semen is forced into the bladder instead of being expelled. This is called the $1 million point technique. Again, I share this for educational completeness. It's controversial. Some medical professionals warn it could cause issues, but it's documented in ancient texts and modern practitioners report using it successfully. The most advanced tantric sexual practice is called Maithuna, ritualized sexual union performed in a sacred context. This isn't casual sex. Maithuna is a ceremony. The space is purified. Mantras are chanted. The partners see each other as embodiments of Shiva and Shakti. The act becomes worship. In traditional Maithuna, The couple might remain in union for hours without any movement, simply meditating on the flow of energy between them. The male maintains erection through Vajroli mudra and mental concentration. The female draws his energy into herself, refines it, and returns it to him in purified form. They're functioning as a single energetic system, a closed circuit of rising consciousness. The goal of Maithuna isn't pleasure in the ordinary sense. It's using the intense energy generated by sexual union to pierce through the illusion of separation and experience union with the divine. When practiced by advanced couples, Maithuna can induce genuine mystical states, visions, and experiences of cosmic consciousness. Let's talk about what actually happens when you practice these techniques seriously over extended periods. First, the physical effects. Your entire energetic system begins to transform. The chakras, which in most people are dim and sluggish, begin to activate and glow with energy. You'll feel this as specific sensations in specific locations: warmth or tingling at the base of the spine, pressure at the solar plexus, coolness at the third eye. These aren't imagination. They're the experiential correlates of energy centers activating. Your overall vitality increases dramatically. You need less sleep but have more energy. Physical strength and endurance improve. Healing accelerates. Some advanced practitioners report going weeks with minimal food, sustained by prana and conserved sexual essence. The body becomes a more efficient energy system. Mental effects are equally dramatic. Mental clarity sharpens to an almost supernatural degree. You can hold complex ideas in mind for extended periods. Memory improves. Learning accelerates. Creative insights arrive spontaneously. Many inventors, artists, and scientists throughout history were secret practitioners of sexual energy conservation and transmutation. Emotional stability transforms. The mood swings that plague ordinary people smooth out. You become less reactive, more centered. Emotions still arise, but they don't control you. You watch them from a place of awareness, rather than being swept away by them. The most profound effects are spiritual. At a certain point of practice, Kundalini awakens. This isn't metaphor. It's a distinct, unmistakable experience. Practitioners describe it as an explosion of energy at the base of the spine, followed by intense heat, light, and energy rushing upward through the central channel. When Kundalini rises, each chakra it passes through activates with specific experiences. At Svadhisthana, the sexual chakra, you might experience intense pleasure or even spontaneous orgasm. At Manipura, the power center, you might feel surge of confidence or even aggressive energy. At Anahata, the heart, you might experience overwhelming love for all beings. At Vishuddha, the throat, you might spontaneously speak in poetry or unknown languages. At Ajna, the third eye, you might have visions, see auras, or perceive other dimensions. At Sahasrara, the crown, you experience what the texts call samadhi, complete dissolution of the separate self into infinite consciousness. These aren't hallucinations. Brain imaging studies of advanced meditators show measurable changes in brain activity during these states. Something real is happening, but here's the critical warning. Kundalini awakening without proper preparation can be devastating. The energy is too intense for an unprepared nervous system. Practitioners have experienced what's called Kundalini syndrome, uncontrollable energy surges, burning sensations, psychological disturbance, inability to function normally. This is why the traditional path emphasizes slow, gradual development. Years of pranayama and meditation before attempting to awaken Kundalini. Purification of the physical body through yoga and clean diet. Purification of the mind through ethical living and meditation. When the system is ready, Kundalini awakening is ecstatic. When the system isn't ready, it can be traumatic. Another warning, these practices can make you uncomfortably sensitive. You'll start to feel energy in everything and everyone. Crowds become overwhelming. Violent movies become unwatchable. You'll need to be more selective about your environment and company. Some people find this difficult to integrate with normal modern life. There's also the danger of spiritual ego. When you start experiencing unusual abilities or states, the ego wants to claim them. I'm special, I'm enlightened, I have powers. This is a trap. The texts warn that spiritual pride is more dangerous than ordinary ignorance because it's more subtle and seductive. The proper attitude is humility. These experiences arise from the practices, not from you. You're not special, you're just accessing capacities that exist in all humans. The practices work because they're based on the actual structure of human consciousness and energy, not because you're chosen or gifted. Finally, understand that these practices can fundamentally alter your relationship to sex and pleasure. Once you've experienced energy orgasms, valley orgasms, and states of bliss that last for hours, conventional sex becomes unsatisfying. The brief peak of ejaculation seems crude and wasteful. This can create challenges in relationships with partners who don't understand or share these practices. Some practitioners become celibate not from repression but from preference. The bliss available through internal practices exceeds anything available through external stimulation. They're not denying themselves pleasure, they're choosing superior pleasure. But perhaps the most important thing to understand is this: tantric practices work. They're not mythology or wishful thinking. They're based on the actual anatomy of subtle energy in the human body. The chakras, the nadis, the kundalini. These aren't religious concepts. They're experiential realities that anyone can verify through dedicated practice. Thousands of years before modern neuroscience, the Tantric yogis mapped human consciousness with stunning precision. They discovered that sexual energy is the most powerful force in the human system, that this energy can be conserved, refined, and transmuted, that when properly directed, it creates extraordinary states of health, mental capacity, and spiritual awareness. This knowledge was kept secret because it's powerful and dangerous. Not everyone is ready for it. Not everyone has the discipline to practice correctly. Not everyone has the maturity to handle the results. But for those who are ready, for those who have the courage to walk this path, the rewards are beyond anything available through ordinary life. You now have the foundation. You understand the philosophy. You know the basic practices. You've been warned of the dangers. What you do with this knowledge is up to you. Will you dismiss it as fantasy and continue living ordinary consciousness? Or will you test these teachings in the laboratory of your own body and mind? The ancient yogis are waiting for you to find out what you're really capable of. The question is, are you brave enough to discover it?